Welcome to Refashion series with me, Metta. Today I'll be working on a dress I inherited from my grandmother. It looks very Hawaiian because she wore it in Hawaii. That's her right there, and she used to work at the Polynesian Cultural Center. This is her with some of her sons, and that one right there is my dad. So let's go ahead and begin. Unfortunately, I deleted some of my before footage, but I found a little bit on my phone. So here's the before. Get ready because I'm about to show you how I went from the picture on the left to the one on the right. Shout out to Grandma Metta for being so short because look what I just found inside this hem. She had it altered, and that's gonna give me guys like almost 4 inches of extra length to work with. Right here, I'm showing you all the pieces I've removed. So I removed this big bottom ruffle that you can see, and then up here I removed the ruffle around the yoke of the dress, and then finally the ruffle around the neck of the dress. So I removed the big ruffles from this yoke, and I'm just trying to pin it back in place so I can sew it. And I've done the same in the front, and then I'm going to sew together the collar piece where I removed the ruffle from. Sorry, having a hard time speaking right now. Okay, so I decided I didn't want the sleeves on there, so I just seam picked them both off. And then I think I'm gonna work on the hem next, but I managed to make a little tear when I was removing that ruffle on the bottom. So I'm gonna iron this flat and then see if I can fix the tear and decide where I want to hem the length. Okay, so this is that little hole I was talking about, so I'll show you how I'm gonna fix that. But first, this is kind of what my edge looks like now that I've removed the ruffle. And you can see that there's already a pressed seam, so I'm just gonna iron that and hem right there. Now what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna turn it over. I'm going to use some hem tape, stick it on, iron it on, trying to kind of hold it together the best I can, and then I'm gonna iron on a scrap behind it and remove the back piece of the hem tape and iron that on, and then once I turn it over, I'm gonna use a little bit of fray check on top of it to just make sure that none of the loose ends get caught in anything. So I'll show you what that looks like after I'm done doing it. So this is where that hole was. Here's what it looks like on the other side. And it blends in pretty well with all the white in the pattern, so I don't think it'll be a big deal. Okay, so I've decided to dye it blue. I'm using Dye More because it will dye the polyester thread, otherwise it would stay a cream color. I'm using this navy blue because it's the best for cotton. So this might dye cotton as well, but I'm just gonna use both in hopes that I cover all my bases. So I'm gonna mix it in, add it to some water, and pour that into my washing machine. I've already washed the fabric so that it's evenly soaked and wet. Okay, I went for it. I'm dyeing it navy, wondering if I should be concerned that the bubbles are purple. This is the color we ended up after dyeing it the first time. I'm gonna add some black to the dye this time because I want it to be darker. This is kind of like a frumpy faded blue that I'm not a huge fan of. Okay, this is dye bath round 2. The bubbles are still kind of purple, but they're almost a brownish purple, so maybe it'll be darker. We'll have to see. At this point, I've serged around the armholes just to kind of keep them solid before I add any sleeves to it. So this is the ruffle that was originally on the bottom. I serged the end to shorten it, and then I've used my gathering foot, and I've gone over it about 2 times to create a gathered ruffle, and I'm going to add it to the bottom of the dress now. Here is our dress currently. As you can see, we've already dyed it at this point, and I've added the trim on the bottom. What I'm going to do right now is add a casing around the waist. I decided I liked it right about where the second button was, but I also wanted to make sure that it didn't go through the pockets. So I have it pinned just above the pockets. I'm going to go ahead and sew right here, and then I'm going to flip it up like this and sew the top so that it looks pretty on the inside. Okay, I busted out Vogue pattern 9251, and I'm using the sleeve piece to help me create these flutter sleeves right here. So I didn't have enough fabric to cut it in one solid piece, so I had to cut 2 pieces of each one, and then I'll just create a seam here and then attach it to the dress. Narrow hem foot on my sewing machine, and that just flips the fabric around into itself and creates a really beautiful tiny hem on the fabric. So I'm gonna go ahead and go around the curve of the sleeve piece and do that with my narrow hem foot. Our alterations include removing the ruffles, removing the sleeves, shortening the hem, adding new sleeves, dyeing it, adding the casing and changing the neckline, as you can see. And here is the final before and after. Again, I apologize for my horrible before shots. But overall, I'm really pleased with the dress, and it's something that I'll definitely wear. And as I do so, I can remember my grandmother, so it's kind of awesome. If you're interested in seeing more refashions by me, please subscribe to my channel or follow me at Metta on Instagram or carmetta.com.